Here we are.
Not yet. Not yet. Why isn't it showing up as live? There it is. Da, 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 da.
Uh-huh. Are you singing the song?
The Jump On It song?
Does sound like the song.
It sounds a lot like the song.
Wait, what
good.
song?
Here Come the Sixers.
Oh, no, I was singing da, 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 da,
Okay.
da, da, Jump On It.
Jump
It
On
must
It,
have
yeah.
just been on or something.
Mhm.
'Cause
They definitely play that in the arena, right?
They did. Yeah, they played
Yeah.
it during the review or something of
Mhm.
like, and they shouldn't be allowed to play like fun songs like after the Sixers have like a near collapse.
Yeah. They should just play Morose. They should play Hurt by Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, or just total silence. Just like total silence.
People leaving.
Just like repulsed silence. Like disapproving, like the fucking organist is just sitting there just like, you fucking assholes.
I haven't seen Abby. Has Abby sent the art yet? I don't think so.
Have you seen the new DraftKings odds?
Oh, new
For the-
DraftKings odds for MVP?
Yeah.
Well, I looked earlier today, but they're probably off now, aren't they? Once the games start, the awards odds are usually. I mean, we'll do this during the pod.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure because we have them today, right?
We do. Oh, there it is. It's there. We do have them today. Our friends
go.
at DraftKings. All right. We ready? Nine Inch Nails version sucks compared to the original. No. Nine Inch Nails version is the original. Weirdo. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. CJ, am I always on the right? I feel like I'm sometimes on the left. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using there we go. By using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process at briggsauction.com. And our friends at Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe, statesidevodka.com. On the show today, the Sixers take one from the Celtics in what would be thrilling fashion, but made sure at the end to just fuck it up enough to steal all of the excitement leading into the pod. I'm sure we'll talk ourselves back into it, though. We'll have a Joel Embiid MVP update, take a look at the odds and some endorsements from across the league. Also an endorsement for somebody else, as well as the Ringer Top 100. We will also do some emails and voicemails and look ahead to Sunday's live Ricky 5 with B-Ball Paul. You watching on YouTube? We're at 9,150 subscribers with about 2 weeks until the playoffs start. We have to get to 10,000 or CJ gets fired. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe right now and set up notifications, even if you're not. Also, Ricky playoff merch is available as we speak. 2 t-shirts, 2 hats, the Isle of Dogs PJ Tucker t-shirt if you're not a casual, as well as the Coven t-shirt. This brings me no joy, and 2 versions of the Ricky hat, the trucker and the dad hat. And I did mention Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. Sunday at Live Ricky 5, I will have my first drink in 40 days, as I have been alcohol-free since Lent began. I will have a Surfside iced tea and vodka on stage. We've been working it out so we can have all the flavors in there at Underground Arts. The iced tea and lemonade and vodka, the lemonade and vodka, the peach tea and vodka. They're all awesome. They're all awesome. They're all just lightly sweet, no carbonation. Perfect as we get into the warmer months, the spring and summer months. Surfside iced tea and vodka from Stateside Vodka. Get it at statesidevodka.com. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name, I say the name, I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right.
We were right.
Even when it went wrong, we were right.
We were right.
We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. Say the name.
Life's tricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who always believed the Sixers would win that game. That is one, Mike Levin. How you doing? Oh, you're muted.
Good.
No.
They don't deserve me to speak with volume. I mean, look, Embiid is the best player in the world.
That was a fucking
He's incredible.
great
It's
game.
an all-time Embiid game, one of his best. And the rest of the team didn't do anything. And then they just consistently not the smarter team in this matchup. Just consistently not the smarter team. They do dumb shit at the ends of games or during the game. And then Smart or Horford or Brogdon or whoever make them look dumb. And now there's got to be we were talking about this during the filter in, but there should be a song that's not Here Come the Sixers. That's a disappointing win. A little bit of a you fucking assholes win.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't want to be that way on this one though. I agree with you.
But if they do it so often, they lost. They should have lost that Lakers game. That when they did, they do this shit all the time. They're not a smart team. They over and over again. Eventually, it's going to come back to bite them. And the defense looked like shit. They won because Joel Embiid is the best player in the world. I have nothing good to say about anybody else.
And well, there were a few big threes at the end of the game. I'm just saying, when it came down to it, there was a certain player that was
a couple wide open threes and an airballed floater.
Right.
That's
no. The air ball was not his fault.
It wasn't not his fault.
It was 100% not his fault. Harden gave the ball with 2 seconds left on the clock. That wasn't his fault.
Yeah, he's an NBA player. He can hit a turnaround. The threes are great. I love the threes. If they leave him wide open, he has to do that. Embiid is getting double, triple team. He has to be able to hit those threes. I love that he did. Good shit. Thank you, PJ Tucker. Good job.
Thank you.
Hit rim on a fucking floater though, but
wasn't a floater. Was given the ball with 2 seconds left on the clock with a guy on him in the lane. I think he probably. I don't know if you were watching or not, but that one wasn't his fault.
Hit rim. All I'm asking. Hit rim.
Well,
Give me some rim. A little bit of rim, bud. Only hit shots in the corner. It's the NBA. Learn how to do something else. I love the threes. I appreciate the threes, and I'm going to criticize him for the rest of it.
Okay,
and he's going to give away 2 possessions per game on stupid moving screens every single time. Every single game he's going to give away possessions, just running into guys and then arguing with the ref. It's frustrating. The rest of the team, frustrating. Embiid, best player in the world. I love him. He's solidified MVP here. Great game. Happy for him against the Celtics, but what a bad game for so many other guys. And they had good games over the course of the game. There's good moments from some guys. I'll talk about them. But it's just Embiid having to score 90 points and play 1,000 minutes. Otherwise, they're not going to win a game. Shouldn't be like this. Shouldn't be this hard.
That's what it's like when you're the best player. I got news for you. That's what Giannis has to do sometimes. It's what Jokic has to do sometimes. It's what
Giannis isn't even the best player on his team.
Devin Booker has to do sometimes. It's what everybody who is the best player on their team. It's what Kevin Durant has had to do a million times. Sometimes when you're the best, it's what Jason Tatum has had to do. Sometimes it's what Steph Curry has had to do sometimes. Sometimes when you're the best player on the team and you're the MVP, you have to score 50 points for your team to win. And he did. And they fucked up a couple of things at the end of the game, but they beat the Celtics and Joel Embiid, they had no answer for Embiid. And if they're going to beat the Celtics when Embiid's going to score 50, and we're going to hope that the rest of the team contribute something during a series, I will take something away from this. I thought Tobias Harris looked bad overall. Maxey looked bad, and they won the game because Embiid scored 50, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're the best player. So
for sure. He was awesome. I don't blame him for that. I wish that the rest of the players were better more often.
Well, but then they would all beat Joel Embiid. Like
Well, I'm
we
not asking him
can't-
to be
we
Joel
can't-
Embiid.
no.
I'm asking some guys to hit rim on shots.
But we can't. Okay, we can't spend time talking about how great a season James Harden has been, and how he's made the full move over to point guard, and then how good Tyrese Maxey is, and how we're so proud of him, and this, that, and the other. And Tobias Harris, man, he really competes on defense. And then all of a sudden, none of them are good at all because they had a bad game.
Well,
Like,
yeah, tonight.
come
I know we're
on.
reacting to the game. Most of
No.
them played pretty poorly tonight. Harden,
And
I think,
they
played good for some
won.
of the game,
And they won. They won a game. They won a big game that they needed to win because their best player was good.
yeah, I can be upset about the other stuff.
Well, then list it then.
Well, I mean, it's worth noting that Jaylen Brown didn't play in this game. I think the Celtics look far less dangerous without him. Robert Williams didn't play, and I not a guy that I think he's helpful off ball on Embiid, but I think he fouls too much and gets too handsy. Embiid would have put him away. But yeah, I mean, Embiid's unbelievable. We can just talk about Joel Embiid. I'll be happy to do that. Like, I thought it was interesting that they put Grant Williams on him for most of the game. I think that's probably a save Al Horford for the second round of the playoffs, probably. But Embiid's just at a point in his career right now where he just is so comfortable against double teams, arms coming at him, contests from everywhere. The jumper is just like so cash, even in a crowd. His footwork's elite. He's stepping through, finishing ridiculous. There was even, the crazy finish high in the air after decelerating as he's falling down under the rim, and one, just ridiculous. He's gotten so much better over the last few years. Like, it's remarkable. The drive and dunk on Cornette, the snake dribble to get in front of Smart and draw a foul in the jumper from behind. I'm just reading from my list of amazing Embiid plays. The spin drive and dunk past Grant Williams. Like, this was a very much, until the last minute, I was feeling good of like, this is just we have a Joel Embiid and you guys don't. And that's nice to have. It's nice to be the recipient of that team. But the last minute just really like took the wind out of the sails of this stuff. And I thought defensively, aside from overhelping, and I think that's more of a symptom of the team that he's on, and the fact that too many other guys can't defend. Like, I thought he showed some real impressive like versatility on the defensive end tonight. Like, one time he bit on a Marcus Smart pump fake when he had to switch onto him, but then he like recovered quickly, followed him into the drive, and then like really quickly adjusted course after Smart passed it out to Derek White for a three, and then contested hard on a White three. I thought he was moving really well side to side tonight. And when we were concerned about the calf and the Achilles for both Embiid and Harden, it's nice to see him like feeling like he looks good. He's just such a unique defender to be able to contest so many things, but also like be as strong as he is and absorb contact and everything. And I just thought like really, really nice. It was more in the first half, and then not until the last few minutes when he was kicking out to PJ wide open. But I thought he was really driving with an intent to kick out to shooters, driving with the intent to find open guys. And I thought that was really nice to see. It's not just a last resort pass out. It's not just like I'm just getting rid of the ball because I can't do anything with it here. It seems like he's manipulating the defense a little bit more. And he's just awesome. He's just like turned himself. The jumper is so good. He's just turned himself into such an unstoppable player, unless you have a guy like Brook Lopez who is as big as him and can absorb the contact and everything. But Boston doesn't have that, and that's why, as I write in the newsletter in the next couple days, I think Boston is, just because of how good Embiid is, probably the better matchup for the Sixers, as much as that makes you want to throw up.
You can go on to the next guy.
I don't know why you're upset that I get frustrated about these guys.
You don't have to like.
Why is it an attack on you? They almost fumbled the game, which they've done a number of times this year.
I'm trying to fucking like you put together a show like twice a week. And like, you can't no sell everything, Mike. Like you can't. Like, I'm sorry, PJ Tucker hit a couple of big shots.
Sell?
Like,
we don't work for the Sixers.
No, not the fucking team. Like, PJ Tucker hit a couple of big shots. Like
yeah, those shots were awesome. I was glad he hit them. I'm so happy he hit them. That's what he has to do. He's hitting corner threes. He is there to hit corner threes. I wish he could do some other stuff.
He's never been able to do anything else in his entire career. Like
he had other stuff like a floater here and there at times, and like not only below the break threes. Like there's other stuff that I wish he could do. I wish he wasn't as limited of a player. He's very limited, but the stuff he's good at when he's doing it, very helpful player, very helpful. But the defense, overall, to me, like PJ Tucker's here for defense, and Embiid is as good as he's gotten on the offensive end. He's still like, I mean, maybe this is wrong anymore, but for most of his career, the majority of his impact on the game was on the defensive end because of how good he is, how good they are on defense when he's out there, and whether or not like teams have gotten better, offenses have gotten better, and it's just harder to defend. Like it feels like the team around him is not equipped defensively enough to like withstand the modern NBA. They just like they give up so much in transition from the lack of like tenacity and communication. They're dying on screens all the time. They're soft doubling and like allowing guys to come like be wide open one pass away. Like so many people tweeting at me like I'm seeing the things that you're seeing about like Melton, like no man's land, Tobias no man's land, PJ no man's land, George Niang fucking going into the lane to just like do nothing. It's rotating onto the same guy. It's just so. I would rather Embiid cover the hardest player to cover, whether that's Tatum or fucking anybody. Embiid having to cover a stretch five is the worst thing that could possibly happen because he just helps 25 feet off of him because everybody gets by everybody. And then he just can't, he's not going to contest 25 feet away. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating. To me, this is a nice, like the win was nice. I was happy about how well Embiid played. I don't think the Celtics needed or cared about this game, so I was ready to like write it off if they won and write it off if they lost. But it's good to beat the Celtics just like mentally for them. But man, like there's all the reasons why you don't trust this team were evident in a win that should have felt good. And that's like the boneheaded mistakes at the end, stupid fouls, stupid decision making, softness on rebounds, and just like not making smart plays, and then allowing a ton of stuff on the defensive end because they don't have the guys to stop them. And Doc plays, whether it's George Niang or PJ in a tough matchup when he's not as good at sliding his feet, like those kinds of things. So it's an absolutely nice win, and Embiid is the MVP, and that kicks ass, and he could win them series after series just because of how good he is if he plays this well. But it's hard not to be like, what the fuck, everybody else, because they've come close to blowing so many of these kinds of leads.
Embiid is minus 450 at DraftKings Sportsbook to win MVP. The only person who has formally announced their vote is Kendrick Perkins, who said he would vote for Giannis. Jokic is also plus 600, Giannis plus 650. With the NBA playoffs, DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NBA. You can make a $5 pregame moneyline bet and get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Plus, everyone, not just new signups, score a no-sweat same-game parlay every day during the NBA playoffs. Same-game parlay, you just turn on, you go to the game you want, you turn on the same-game parlay thing, and you add it up. We had one for Maxey tonight. Did not quite work out. I think it was over 21.5 points and 3 threes. Did not get that. Didn't, but you can't win them all. The odds are high, so you don't have to win them all. Download the app now. Use code RTRS. New customers make a $5 pregame moneyline bet and score $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code RTRS. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Massachusetts. Call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org in New York, 877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY in Kansas, 800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. It seems as if I have to do the state-specific responsible gambling resources again now. That is a bummer. That was gone for a while, and it's back. Yikes. Tobias Harris probably played his worst game of the season. He was terrible in just about every way. He blew 2 layups. He
One was he was trying to go for a dunk, and I do appreciate that. He didn't quite get there. He did get blocked by the underside of the rim, which is not so good.
Did you see where Harden pushed him?
Yeah, I didn't think that was a big deal at all. Not
What was
remotely.
he pushing him for, do you think?
Of just like, I got it, get out of here. I would do that. I would do that to somebody I was playing with. Not in like a concerning it's about to start a fight way. I think you're just like, it's loud. You're trying to move on. But yeah, I thought, look, Tobias, some fuck ups there. I did think he played pretty good defense on Tatum in the last stretch. So I appreciate that, but yeah, it was more like an invisible Tobias game than it was like, aside from those two like tough layups, one where he got blocked, one where he got blocked by the rim. I didn't think it was like he was hesitating. I didn't think he was, making terrible decisions really. There was one play where he like way overplayed Grant Williams on defense up like he's like an elite shooter. And then Grant Williams like happily drove by him, and then Harden was standing there like a statue, and Grant finished with a layup. But other than that, I thought it was just mostly like the ball swung away from him, and then he missed those two plays. But that's like, I think that's like the place that Tobias is in. Like nobody would look at, like, I don't know, Dorian Finney-Smith if offensively like he had this kind of game. Obviously Finney-Smith's a better defensive player, but like that's the role he's kind of in at this point. So I didn't think it was as bad of a Tobias game as necessarily it looked. He just didn't contribute because Embiid had 52 points on 25 shots, which happens. I did think it was like a pretty good Harden game in the first half, especially after how bad Harden played in Milwaukee. Drew just like absolutely owned him like repeatedly over and over again, and he did a terrible job taking care of the ball, and Drew just like picked his pocket a million times. And I thought Harden was like at least more focused on taking care of the basketball. He had 10 assists, no turnovers. I thought that was like intentional. He was made it a point to do that, which I appreciate. And I even thought his first half, I thought his off-ball defense was good. He had a few deflections. He came up with 1 steal, 2 blocks. I thought he was helping without overcommitting or losing sight of his man. And then in the second half, I thought he just like stopped sliding his feet, started watching the ball. I thought like to your point on the PJ thing, like yes, multiple times in this game, he would like get casual with the shot clock and have to be forced to take contested fadeaway twos that like grazed the front rim. One time he obviously passed to TJ with a couple seconds left on the clock. But when he shoots 4 of 9 from 3, you survive it. 4 of 9 from 3 and 10 assists, no turnovers. You're kind of like, okay. Every step back three that he makes feels like an exhale. And I did like that they were at least, there were a couple times when Harden went ISO and went right at Derek White and used his strength. I thought that was good. And even the times he tried grifting for fouls, he didn't get those fouls, but he made the shot out of it. And I thought they went to the pick and roll over and over again because that was the offense. I think that's probably partly why Tobias and Maxey didn't do anything, is because it was Harden and Embiid. It was Harden and Embiid, Harden and Embiid, Harden and Embiid. They just like went to it over and over and over again and dared Boston to trying to think different. And eventually they sent a bunch of guys at Embiid.
I swear 75% of Harden's turnovers are because he, like, I know this sounds ridiculous, like he wants to look cool on pick and rolls, and he throws passes behind his back at like 60% of the speed that they should go. And I don't know if he has like nice touch like a good quarterback does, and he's like floating the ball into their hands, but it seems like he throws passes that do not have the zip on them. Like he's playing at 65% speed or something. Like he's just not, he's not throwing the pass like he should throw the pass. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I don't understand why he plays that way, because it does seem like most of his turnovers come from plays like that.
Yeah, it's definitely like a casualness at best of like he could be more crisp with his passes or decision making, and I think like there was a time like Maxey got a turnover tonight on a play where Tatum just anticipated that he was about to make this pocket pass to Joel, and he just played it really, really like overplayed that being the pass, because he's just like, it seems like Boston just knows a lot of the time what they're gonna do. And I think that looked definitely to be the case in Milwaukee with Drew also. But yeah,
the truth is the truth is, and that the only way they're going to beat either of those teams is if Joel Embiid is scoring 38 to 40 points per game. Like it's the only way it's happening. They don't have as much as either of those teams have. And the thing that I take away from this game as a positive, yes, they did not have Jaylen Brown, they didn't have Robert Williams, but the rest of the team stunk and they won the game. And like, honestly, they are going to have, he is not surrounded by, like, when you watch Milwaukee, that team is they're not perfect, but they are, they've all been playing together, or most of them playing together so long, like they know exactly where they're supposed to be all the time.
Yeah.
They are I can't come up with the right metaphor, but like they're a well-oiled machine, Milwaukee is. And Boston just has more. Like, they're more athletic, they have more players, they have more people who can create shots, like they have more. The only way they're going to be able to win a series with either of those, like, Boston does not need Jason Tatum to score 40 points a game to beat the Sixers. No. They don't need Jason Tatum to score 40 points a game to beat anybody. And it's the same thing with Giannis. Would probably have to score 30 a game, but he does. Joel Embiid has to score 40 points a game to beat either of those teams. So we've been saying that he has, he keeps saying how he is the healthiest he's ever been at this point in the season. Odd considering the Denver thing, but still keep saying that. He's playing the best that he has. This was a team that a lot of times with Horford there has solved him. It sort of seems like on some level they sort of gave it up to him today by just putting Williams on him so much and just sort of letting him score. But this is what he's going to have to do. That's the only way they're going to be able to beat this team or the Bucks. And I don't think it's likely, but I think they have. I don't know what a puncher's chance is. Is a puncher's chance 15, 20%? Is that what a puncher's chance is? Maybe a little bit less?
I mean, I would say it's more. I don't think the team around Embiid is as bad as they played tonight. Like, I think there's a difference between asking guys that I think it's the non-Embiid players, asking them to play up to their level than asking them to all be independently Joel Embiid. Like Melton, I thought played really bad tonight. Niang didn't hit a shot. Niang and Melton didn't hit a shot. Shake didn't play. Dan House played a minute.
Niang's been bad for a month and a half. Like, aside from a game here and there.
Yeah, aside from a game here and there, the shot has been falling. I think but I as I've said, like, I think the reason Doc plays him is because he's one of the few guys in this team that has shooting gravity that forces the defense to scramble onto him. It was nice to see Jalen McDaniels hit a couple shots. He's been hitting some shots lately. His athleticism is a real weapon, and he hit a nice block also. It opens things up for when he plays with Joel or B-ball. But yeah, I mean, Maxey had 5 points on 8 shots. Like, that's not a thing that's going to happen very often. He was so good against Milwaukee too. And just hit a ton of shots. So yeah, I feel both frustrated by how they played tonight and generally, as I've harped on repeatedly all season long, like the defense is such a problem and it's going to keep exploding to them. I did ask last pod for someone on the team to let me know that they are aware of the overhelping and the no man's land, and I received assurance that they are. I don't know what that means as far as it changing, but I'm just glad to know that I'm not seeing things. So that's good. And yeah, I think your point about Milwaukee, like, absolutely, and Boston, both of these teams, two best teams in the East, like, they have a togetherness on offense, but the Sixers are a good offensive team. They're the best 3-point shooting team in the league. They didn't look that way tonight, but they're the best 3-point shooting team in the league because of how much attention both Joel and James, and at times Maxey, demands. And it's just the defensive end that they're not together whatsoever. They both guys are helping onto the wrong guys, and they're not communicating, and they're never in transition. It seems like they're walking right into layups, like, over and over again. And your point about, like, Harden being, like, trying to look cool, I think there's a, like, I don't know if it's that feels, I don't know, more maybe more judgmental than I want to be or something. I think of, like, what his
not really what
it
is. It's just what it looks like.
I know what you mean. I don't, like, necessarily disagree with it, but I think it's the lack of, like, when Derek White on the B-ball Paul play, when Derek White fucking turns around and just burns it back on defense to just get in B-ball's way and forces B-ball to what he should have done is just dunk it and just gone hard at it. But instead, B-ball thinks he's like 6'2" sometimes, and he's having like a cute little like around the rim finish. He should have just dunked it.
Something would have happened. The rim would have turned alive and swatted it out of his hand if he tried to dunk. Yeah.
But it's to me it's that kind of play that like Harden wouldn't do. He wouldn't like turn the ball over and then like burn it up court to try to like prevent a play or even just get in the way and not foul. Like it just wouldn't happen. And I think Embiid sometimes does it, sometimes doesn't. Like Maxey maybe would, but he's not as talented. Like it's just that's a play that it feels like maybe DeAnthony Melton would make it, but almost no one else in the Sixers would. And it's that kind of thing, that kind of togetherness, that kind of like willing to do whatever on the defensive end. That I just that is the biggest thing that separates the Sixers from these two teams.
Well, and you know, Tobias Harris dove for a ball against the Bucks. It was his first first loose ball he's got.
I was happy to see it. I was happy to see him get on the ground.
They're not, aside from they don't have a lot of those players, right? Like that's not something you see from them. And I think that's probably what you were saying about Harden, is that there's just not like an urgency to what he does as good as he is. Urgency
is right.
Yeah.
And that's both offensively when I think it's part of the patience, right? Of why he's so patient, why he can let the game come to him and stuff. And I'm just noticing a bruise on my hand. That's weird. But it's also it's those kinds of plays. That's why it's like you're running every shot clock down to the limit and forcing up bad shit, and also on the defensive end, just sort of a lifelong habit of watching and losing his guy. And there's just too many open looks. I mean, the Celtics didn't hit too many tonight. They didn't get to the line too much. They're not a team that gets to the line that much anyway, but
they shot below 40%, I think, for the game, unless it changed. With 5 minutes left, they were shooting 38% or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
And I didn't think that was... I thought in the second half... I thought the first half they did an okay job of defending. I thought the second half they weren't. They were like just ran out of steam and all their bad habits came back.
And one of the reasons, actually, after this, I will give the reason why I think they're more beatable than I think the Bucks are. After I talk about Big Barker, we got a new CJ. I wonder if you could pull it up from our Twitter. The new Big Barker process pup, Ripley, who is a rescue from Providence Animal Center, joined her Big Barker process pup sister, who is Piper. They both have Big Barkers. We got them. Process, but look, that is Ripley. It's a good-looking fucking dog.
Good-looking dog.
Giant ears. And so is Piper, another good-looking dog. Kitty, and I don't know what Ripley is. Anyway, if you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, bigbarker.com/Ricky, you get yourself a Big Barker dog bed with the process pup patches. My fucking dog this morning, Rebel, got up at... There's nothing worse. I don't mind when he gets up at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning and has to pee. I have a few hours of sleep left. 3:50 though, man. That's bullshit. Got out of the Big Barker at 3:50 this morning. Don't like that. Anyway, Big Barker is the only true dog bed on the market, the only dog bed that will support your dog's joints, and the only dog bed that will support your dog's joints that has been proven to do so by Penn Vet. You look at it, you see the bed, you see the difference. Your dog doesn't sink to the bottom like it would with a dog bed that you get at the store. One of those big fluffy things. It's not fluffy. Mattress isn't supposed to be fluffy. A pillow is. Mattress is supposed to be sturdy. That's what the Big Barker is. Again, you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. You get the Big Barker dog bed with 2 process pup patches, which are easily ironed on. One for your dog bed, one for your jeans. And it's called Big Barker because it was originally just for big dogs, but now it is for all size dogs, from tiny Barker Jr. up to the XL for a giant motherfucking dog. There is a 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it, your dog doesn't like it, they'll give you a full refund and even pay for the shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds. Every team in the NBA relies on jump shots. Every single one. Like, it's just the way the league is right now. There's something about the Celtics, and I think it might be because so much, I mean, their offense revolves around Jaylen Brown and specifically Jason Tatum, who seem to insist on more difficult jump shots than anybody else.
Yeah.
And
which is always why I have not liked Tatum that much. Obviously, he's become an exceptional player, but that tendency that you mentioned.
Yeah, like I just watch them and I think, like, man, they could have a few off games when they don't need to. Like, the thing about Tatum is, and he is fantastic, but it never seems like when he's having an off game, he's like, you know what, I'm just going to go to the basket this time. You know what, I'm going to go to the basket. I'm going to get fouled. I'm going to do that. I'm going to decide that that's what I want. He doesn't do that. And Marcus Smart, who I love and would love to have on the Sixers, does have his, John Starks-esque 3 for 19 games. And I think it's more likely that you're going to get a few of those games that you need against the Celtics than you're going to get off games from the Bucks, because I think the Bucks are better defensively than the Celtics, and they will just grind. They've already won a championship, right? I mean, they sort of, I have more faith, I would say, in Giannis than anybody in the Celtics. So that's
I really do honestly have more faith in Brook Lopez than any of all of them. He is the best player I've ever seen. I can't believe how good he is. Embiid really can't do much with them. I mean, Embiid will still score on him and still like hit him with the, if he's playing drop coverage, he'll still hit him with the pick and pop stuff. But like, I mean, I've never seen him or Bobby Portis miss a shot, and Lopez is maybe going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and it's just like unbelievable. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, right now with Boston's loss just now, like it's good. This would be the second round matchup.
Yeah,
if it happened.
yeah.
There's a chance that if Boston had won, that because they have the tiebreaker with Milwaukee, that it could have been like a tie if the last couple games, but now it's pretty much settled. It's going to be the Sixers in the third and Boston in the 2, and we'll see.
Well, we got to get there first.
We got to get there first,
yeah.
And certainly not writing that off.
And I don't want to. Who was I talking to about this earlier? I was talking to Mike O'Connor, the great Mike O'Connor, and we were laughing about the potential of Jokic being in the finals, and we're celebrating the MVP while the Sixers have lost in the second round. It's certainly possible.
Jokic lost to the Rockets tonight.
Did he play?
He played.
Oh, wow.
Lost to the Rockets.
The MVP looks like, especially with tonight, it looks like Embiid has probably sewn it up. He had a couple of good endorsements this week. Steph Curry said, I apologize because I forget where I stole these quotes from. Steph Curry said, any person you pick, their body of work could be compared to Jokic or Giannis, but Joel took a leap that I think a lot of people didn't expect because he was dominant already. That leap turned heads and put Philly in a great position. If I had to pick, it would be him. Then Damian Lillard, who, by the way, wants to win in Portland, was on the Dan Patrick show. Dan Patrick said, who's your MVP this year? He said, Joel Embiid. Patrick said, why? He said, I picked Joel Embiid because he's, I feel like he's been dominant all season. His team is winning. I feel like he could have won it one of the last 2 years, but I think Jokic won it both times. And I think just because he's been the most dominant player, he's been carrying his team, I think you can't continue to give it a guy who's won twice in a row, especially when you have a guy like this that's performing at the same level or maybe even higher. And also tonight, Reggie Miller said he would give it to Embiid as well. Kendrick Perkins, who is like Mr. Embiid, who I do love, said on ESPN today that he was going to vote for Giannis. So I think it's possible that Jokic could come in third.
I think it's all because Embiid didn't play in the Denver game for Perkins. It's like, okay.
Well, he didn't like that either. We didn't like it either, to be honest.
No, I didn't like it, but it wouldn't. One game of like being injured wouldn't change my vote.
Don't you think I forget. I think I was talking to AU about this because we were talking about whether he was ducking Jokic, and he said, I don't think he's ducking him. And I said, I agree that I don't think he's ducking him, but I do think part of the calculation to not play was like, you know what, I'm not feeling great, and this wouldn't be a game not to look great in.
I think that's fair.
Like not quite ducking, but knowing that there was a chance that it could do less for him than he wanted it to do, I think is probably where it is. So
I think that's fair. But again, we talked about it before, like it shouldn't have been that way. You shouldn't play back-to-back ahead of that game if you weren't going to, because we know Joel, he wanted to play in that game. He wanted to play in that game. was he feeling up to it? I'm not saying like I definitely don't think he was ducking him or anything. I think he was not feeling good enough to play in that game and in a game that would have ramifications for the MVP. So he'd rather not play than play, but then play hurt. But like, the back-to-back shouldn't have been the case. It is I mean, we talked about Joel a lot tonight, but like it is important. 52 points on 25 shots with 0 threes, which kind of bums me out. He should have hit more threes, and he would take
2.
Took 1. He would take more threes in a Milwaukee series because he's more not afraid of Brook Lopez, but cognizant of how good of a shot blocker is. I'm afraid of Brook Lopez.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I'm not
Seems
saying
like
that
you were the one who was afraid.
Me personally, terrified of Brook Lopez. But yeah, I mean, he was just stunning. He was stunningly good in this game. He was this was arguably the most like, you look at the box score. I mean, it's a very like Iverson era type game of like Iverson, Embiid has 52 and the rest of the team, George Lynch has 6. Second leading scorer is Tyrone Hill with 9. And yeah, I mean, it was arguably the most dominant game of his career. I don't know if it was the best one, like overall, I would have to sit with that and think about it more. But like, as far as dominant, as far as like unable to be stopped, 20 of 25 from the field and 12 of 13 from the line. And the MVP awards odds are shifting because of that. Just like a fucking special dude. I love him. I'm so happy he's here. And yeah, what I was thinking? We always go like, oh, Embiid, you can't play him too many minutes. And Doc, it's bullshit that you're playing Embiid in this game 39 minutes in a game that really has almost no impact on seeding whatsoever. I understand why mentally they needed to win this game, but it wasn't. There was no like consequences to it really. But like, isn't that a little arbitrary?
Is what arbitrary?
48 minutes is arbitrary. If each NBA game was like 58 minutes instead,
isn't every number arbitrary?
I think so.
Yeah.
So why doesn't Embiid just play 48 minutes in the playoffs? Take your timeouts, give him breaks, let him take some plays off offensively. We act like it's gospel. I understand why, like you don't want to play all the minutes, but like why is 36?
Oh, I understand what you're saying. You're saying if you can play 42, what is that number? Like what? But because they're conditioned for 48-minute games.
Exactly. No, that's for sure.
Why.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. And I know that, but also like, what if we just needed Embiid to play 48 minutes throughout the playoffs?
Right.
And
probably not.
I would like it. Maybe not the first round, but like second and beyond. And then we get B-ball Paul in here and there to play some power forward.
It was not B-ball Paul's greatest night.
It wasn't, but he played really well against Milwaukee, I thought.
Yes, he did.
And he's just like they're going to scheme. Other teams you're seeing like are scheming offensive rebounds, like knowing that he's going to get them and going, okay, we're not going to let him. Like Luke Cornett is face guarding B-ball on offensive rebounds because he knows how good he is on him. And he's just still going to come away with them no matter what. Every game he gets multiple offensive rebounds every game. And Harden did give it to him one time, got an and-one out of it. That was nice. I really think they should give him the ball more. Like that's my people politics is they should give him the ball more.
Did you see him bring the ball up the court tonight?
I loved Harden. Let him bring the ball up the court. That was fun.
Yeah.
And
I feel like he's setting him up when he does that. Like
a little bit.
Yeah. Like
I think Harden's in Doc's pocket about B-ball. I think.
Yeah.
I think. And there was one time. Look, all season long they've been helping onto B-ball Paul when they don't have to, and this time Malcolm Brogdon was, especially early on, like pretty much dominating the Sixers. He had like 9 points in 4 minutes or something, and B-ball switches onto him in the second quarter. And he's on an island with him. Nobody comes to help. I'm saying thank you. Brogdon decides to pull up for like a 19-footer, and B-ball blocks it. And it's just like, you don't need to help. Like, you don't need to help. Across the board, help less, and guys will take their assignments more seriously. I just need that to come to fruition because this team is not a team that can just keep helping and thinking they're going to recover. They never do.
The funny thing about Paul is that outside of Embiid, he's their best defensive player. He's their best rebounder.
Definitely the best rebounder. You could argue about defensive player, but
yeah. I mean, who would you put above him? Melton
or McDaniels or Tucker. I think people can argue different matchups wise.
Yeah. I think from a versatility standpoint, I would put B-ball Paul over. Like, he does feel like he can guard anybody. And somebody posted.
I will not argue with this. I refuse to argue with this.
I think it was
on principle.
On 2 more B-ball Paul things, and then we can move on. But
10 or 15 more B-ball Paul things. Then we'll do it.
There was one, I think they posted on Reddit. I forget where I read it, but like of all of the categories where he is excelling in rebounding, he's like the lightest guy in the top 20 in any of the categories. And there's one thing that I'm watching for now that Doc said about him is that when he sets screens, they need him to roll hard and fast and not slow, because that is the advantage he has over the defense. He's not like strong. He's not bigger than anybody. He's faster than everybody. So I'm watching him, faster than the people who are guarding him. So I'm watching him when he sets screens to see if he's doing what Doc wants him to do, because I want them to keep playing him.
I also heard that quote, and I thought it was totally wrong.
Oh, really?
I think he rolls fast all the time, and the Sixers, aside from Harden, don't have like heady, quick passers. Yeah. So if he's rolling quick, the window in which he's open.
He's mostly playing with Harden, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. But Harden doesn't want to give them the ball. Harden doesn't want to give him the ball unless he's like right there, and he doesn't have to do anything else with it aside from go right up. I would like Paul to become more of a legitimate lob threat. It's weird to be like, hey, work on lobs this offseason, but like I would love for that to be the case. But I think roll slower, be more available for a longer amount of time. It's not like the defense is adjusting and rotating onto him so quick anyway. It's mostly like a guy backing up, going like, you're not going to fucking pass it to him. But anyway, what did you think of the crowd tonight? Because I thought the fact that they were
a
0-3 was just like, especially early on, I feel like they're audibly and visibly scared of Boston.
I think in general, the crowds this year have not been quite as good as they have in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think there's a likelihood. I think there's 3 factors at play with the crowd not being as good. One, coming off of an Eagles Super Bowl and a Phillies World Series.
Yeah.
There is something that is like noticeably less exciting about a regular season Sixers game.
Yeah.
2, like, I think to even like regular people that go to the games at this point are probably in a similar place that we are, that they're just like, all right, great.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to get riled up. We've seen this. Okay, whatever. Yeah. So I said 3 things. I really mean 2. I think both of those things. I don't think the crowd has been as good this year as it has.
No, it hasn't. It for sure hasn't. It does feel like there's some like ancient mass hole curse that requires like some witchcraft that will always lead to Boston just like coming out on top.
That's why they got to win. That's why they got to play Boston and beat Boston.
I think that's part of it, and I think that's also I'm coming around, as I wrote in the newsletter that comes out in 2 days. I'm coming around to them actually being the better matchup. As much as I don't think either of them is a great matchup. I don't think matchups necessarily matter, as we learned in the Hawks series.
Right.
But I think I agree with you in the sense of beating them, getting the monkey off their back for the Joel story would be really very helpful. Yeah. I want to talk about one more thing tonight. Another basketball thing.
Can I do Briggs, and then
let's do Briggs, but this is the most important basketball thing of the night that I have to say after this.
Wow. The most important thing is coming after the Briggs Auction ad.
Yeah.
Briggs Auction, 4-generation, family-owned and operated auction house in Garnet Valley, PA. We love Briggs Auction. Download the Briggs Auction app. CJ, do you have CJ, I realized what was going on, why I can't see the things, because I'm not in StreamYard as an administrator, so I can't see you right now. Can you
You
get
can't
up
see him?
I can't see him.
Oh hell yeah! No, CJ, get out of here. I want to see you.
But I
want
want everyone.
CJ just for
I want
myself.
him to tell CJ. Can you talk without us? I just want you to tell everyone how much you enjoy the clothes you got from Briggs Auction.
Have you tried it on yet?
Yeah.
I got it. I'm getting it all cleaned.
Okay.
And they're mainly coats, and it is beautiful in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm very excited for the upcoming season, and the experience was great. I got a hand delivered. It was
Shit.
pretty great.
BriggsAuction.com. Look, there's coats, like vintage clothing. I'm a big vintage t-shirt guy. You know, I'm sending a message now to Steve at Briggs. I've never seen any vintage t-shirts. I love vintage clothes, but I'm a t-shirt guy. I would love to see that. Vintage clothes, vintage furniture, art, collectibles. We've seen tons of like sports collectibles in there, music collectibles, records, all that kind of stuff. And you're talking about basically weekly different discovery and estate auctions at BriggsAuction.com. There's another one debuting Thursday, and I think then there's another one after the week after that. Basically every week, what I do is I have the few categories I like. I like the art category. I like the clothing category. I like the collectibles category. I either on the app or on the web, I go to the new auction. I go to those categories and scroll through them and just see thousands of lots starting at $1, right? As CJ found out, very easy to pick up. They have open pickup on Saturdays or by appointment during the week, or they can work with a shipper. They will be at Live Ricky 5. Steve and Stephanie will be at Briggs. And if you have an estate or would like to downsize at an auction place, you can only do it at Briggs. Send an email to info@briggsauction.com. BriggsAuction.com. All right. Most important thing from the game.
No,
Oh,
I didn't say that.
I thought you did.
I said the most important basketball thing tonight,
Oh, it's going to be the Jaden Springer.
which was the NBA G League Finals,
Jesus Christ.
where Jaden Springer in the first half was 4 of 5 from 3. I watched it play in between commercials.
D-Ball Paul shot 7 threes a game.
Yeah, and that's why he's the man.
Okay.
We love B-Ball Paul. Don't tell me B-Ball Paul as a way for me to not like Jaden Springer.
Okay.
He forces a Jared Culver, former lottery pick, a bad shot on Culver. He starts the break. He barrels through defenders to finish at the rim for an and one. I watched that as I flipped over to it during a commercial in the Sixers game. He was hitting some catch and shoot threes. He finishes with 41 points. This is in the G League Finals. 41 points against Daryl Morey's Rio Grande Valley Vipers. 41 points, 5 of 8 from 3, 5 of 5 from the line, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 5 blocks. Guard. I'm just
43.
saying. Say it again?
He just hit some free throws, 43.
Oh, the game is still going on. I didn't even realize. I thought it was over. Amazing. Could be 50. Maybe Embiid's not the only Sixer to have 50 tonight. It should be Jaden Springer. I just think like he not only doesn't die on screens, he detonates them. He elusives them. He can get around them. I'm telling you, look, as a catch and shoot guy, he's not there. I was happy to see him hit some tonight. I'm very happy. That's what I've been looking for. He needs to do it more. He needs to get released quick. He needs to be able to step into those ready to go. But he's a role player next year on this team. They're going to need him. A bunch of guys are going to walk, and they're going to need him to like do some lockdown defense at some point next season. Now, do I think that there's a chance that he comes in for a minute for 10 seconds of meaningful playoff basketball? Maybe.
There may be a Jaden Springer. There is a section of Live Ricky 5 coming up on Sunday with over-unders. There may be a Jaden Springer playoff over-under. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but there may be a Jaden Springer playoff.
That's huge. He's also, I mean, the game's still going on, which I didn't realize. But as of the time I took a screenshot of the box score, he was a plus 17 in the finals. I mean, this is playoff finals experience. He has more finals experience than Joel Embiid, Jaden Springer. Let that sink in, Spike. Is that sinking in for you?
It's sinking in.
Okay, good.
I feel like it was just yesterday when we were doing this with Zaire Smith.
And Zaire did play a meaningful playoff minute, and he would have been a good player if he didn't almost die.
Donovan in the chat asks if there will be a show on Saturday. There will be a pod Saturday morning at 8:30. I don't think we've done a pod that early in the morning in a very long time. Then Live Ricky 5 is Sunday. If you're going to be there, very excited. If you can't be there, we will have an encore video presentation thanks to Mortgage CS several days later. Of course, we have Eliza and Charlie from War on Drugs performing, Mutlu performing, Prez Carter performing, Coaches Become Sales Reps, B-Ball Paul's big performance, Process Hall of Fame inductions, maybe a couple of surprises. We're looking forward to it very much. Voicemails and emails. Writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. This came from John. Do you imagine when Paul Reed rips a rebound from someone, he says, that's basketball's basketball? Mike?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he talks that much.
No. Yeah, which might be a challenge for us. This comes from Jacob. Is B-Ball Paul not one of our 5 best players right now? Why can't he play with Embiid? Hell, why can't he start? Maybe my favorite guy on the whole team. I love Paul Reed, man.
Good. The people that don't like Paul Reed that listen to this podcast must really, I could see them going, if I didn't like Paul Reed and I listened to us talk about Paul, I would begin to hate him. I would begin to just absolutely loathe the guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I am not that person. I do love him. I do think he's excellent. And there's a part of me that, man, I want to believe that the reason that Doc is not playing B-Ball Paul and Embiid together at all in the regular season
because he wants to break it out in the playoffs.
Because he wants to break it out in the playoffs. Just a little bit. A little bit. I want to believe it. I don't believe it, but I want to, and I want it to happen because think about how often Embiid has to cover somebody and then somebody blows by him or somebody cuts and as he like contests a shot, somebody comes up behind it. Like he does like such a frustrated, his body language is not good, Embiid's in that moment. And just having B-Ball back there to provide some level of rim protection alongside Joel. Jalen McDaniels did that tonight also. It would just be nice just for Joel's little vibe. And also PJ Tucker's always in the dunker spot. Joel threw a nice pass to him for a finish tonight, but like having somebody that can dunk in that spot, in the dunker spot, which is what it's named for, would be helpful as well. And I think it should be B-Ball for like 3 or 4 minutes a game. That's all I'm asking. Let me see it.
833 Lickface is where you can leave us a voicemail. I get the feeling I'm probably during the playoffs, definitely gonna have to like ask people to leave voicemails during the game because that will be fun to do after the games.
Oh boy.
Yeah. 833 Lickface. Oh, motherfucker. It's been a while since I fucked that up, if we're being honest. Can we at least give me that? It's been a while since I fucked that up.
Yeah, a couple pods.
Yeah. Well, I think more than a couple pods, but okay, here we go. Hang on. There we go. All right.
What up, Spike, Mike, and CJ? I give a shout out to the guy who called and mentioned American Movie. Like, that was my initial thought, too. I love when he's like, no, Coven sounds too much like Oven. Anyway, I am working on a screenplay right now. Very personal story, something I'm very passionate about. And I'm going to mention the Ricky, something Mike cannot do because he has integrity and he doesn't want more of the Ricky in his life, which is understandable. But just wanted you guys to know. And also going to mention our good friend LL Pavorsky. I'll keep you guys posted as it becomes more of a reality. Something to look forward to, I guess. Thought it was something you might care about. So Anyway, love the pod. Peace.
Wow. So I'm going to look forward to us being mentioned in that guy's screenplay. And LL.
Yep.
Great.
Also being mentioned in the screenplay.
I see how that would be relevant to a film and a character's arc.
Yep. Writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. This comes from David. What is Mike's reaction going to be when Doc takes credit for B-Ball Paul's development as a product of his coaching?
I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. There's a part in Succession, this episode, I won't spoil anything, last week's episode, where Shiv is talking about her dad and saying, like, you always think you're right when people are just listening and then listening to what you say and then doing it. And then you go like, see, I'm right. And like, that's Doc Rivers about B-Ball Paul. And it's like, you don't get credit for it for like not playing him and then him playing well.
Yeah.
And we did go on a Paul Reed victory tour, and we are still on a Paul Reed victory tour, and you were still not invited to that victory tour.
But he could come if he wanted to come.
Can Doc come to the victory tour?
Yeah. To watch Prez Carter. That would be amazing. Are you
That'd
kidding
be
me?
interesting. I can see how that'd be
incredible.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I would like to, may have to issue a public apology. Listen, here's the deal. Because I've been complimentary of Doc here and there.
Mm-hmm.
He has to make a public apology for not playing B-ball Paul. And all the times that he didn't, and all the times he's taken him out.
Yes,
If he
it seems like Doc Rivers and public apology for anything is certainly
a full public apology.
It runs over a baby accidentally with his car. He's not apologizing for anything.
No, he has to say it is my fault. I didn't recognize. I was too caught up in how weird Paul was that I didn't recognize how good he is at so many things and how much he impacts winning. And through my own personal grievances, I could write it for him. He could just say it. Through my own personal grievances, I sabotaged the team unknowingly by playing worse players. And I will not do that again. And I'm sorry for my actions. And then he's welcome on stage. I'll give him a big hug.
I'm sorry I ran over that baby in my car. That's the only way. Maybe
and he doesn't have to apologize for that.
Yeah.
Maybe the baby deserved it. But B-Ball Paul didn't. And that's important.
833 Lickface.
Hey, what's up, Spike and Mike? And depending on how far we are in this COVEN thing, CJ, I don't know. Is being a fan of all teams as awful as it is being a fan of the Sixers? Like, if you were a fan of a different team, is it also this painful, or is that a unique Sixers experience? I feel like it's unique, but I'm not certain because I've never wanted a team other than the Sixers to win very many games. So yeah, I would like your opinion. Is this just what fanhood is, or is this uniquely painful specifically for Philadelphia fans? Anyways, my non-basketball question: do you have any concerts you're looking forward to going to this year? Whatever, I don't care. Bye.
Okay. I think it's a good question. I think we've talked more about that in terms of like gameplay, whether we notice things that we think are Sixers specific that are not Sixers specific. Look, most teams don't win championships in the NBA. So I think there are all different versions of that sort of agony. I think the only fan bases who are not agonizing are fan bases that are watching a team that wins the championship or watching like this year's Thunder, where the team is growing and you don't quite expect them to win anything and they're outperforming your expectations. I think everything else is like, if you're a fan of the Hawks now, it sucks. If you're a fan of the Blazers, it sucks. If you're a fan of the Heat, it probably sucks.
Yeah, they'll like the inconsistency.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I think the Sixers have had loud, flashing weirdness in a way that other teams haven't. Dating back to really starting with the Bynum knee lube stuff, and flamenco dancing, and it's just been a weird, bizarre time since then. Other teams have just mostly been like either bad or mediocre, or like come up short the way like many Brooklyn teams have or many Clippers teams have, that kind of thing. I just want to shout out, happy for the Sacramento Kings, man. Happy for the Kings. Happy for their fan base. I love seeing those guys excited. Light the Beam is cool. They're going to at least make some noise in the playoffs. They're not going to be an easy out. Who knows where it's going to go, but the Kings have had a very long drought, and then making the playoffs, and that fan base making the playoffs after also having almost nearly moving their team. I'm sentimental for that. It feels like that kind of grassroots, like
they have good fans.
Community to like keep the
team
to keep the team and really like have a personality there, I think is really cool. Especially like nothing I identify with more than like long playoff droughts and still giving a shit. Like, good for them, happy for Mike Brown, happy for a bunch of guys on their team. Like, just good shit.
I've only watched like a game and a half of theirs. Well, I guess I've watched 2 Sixers games, and aside from that, maybe a game and a half. Like, I think they're could very well not win in the first round,
for sure.
But it is nice that they're in the playoffs and they've had something exciting to watch. Curious to see where it goes from here, like how they get what. And by the way, that's after this year. That's where the agony can start for a team like them. You know, so. There
really
last
is
voice.
one maybe 2 year. There's really only 1 maybe 2 years of like feeling good and not getting there.
Yep.
It's once you plateau it happens quick, and then you start to you need the next step. You need like progress. You need to feel it. And the Sixers have made the playoffs 5 straight seasons. This will be 6, and haven't gotten past the second round. So that's how
They have played 102 playoff games since they played in the finals. 102 playoff games. So a season and a quarter's worth of basketball games since they have last been in the finals, in the playoffs alone.
And conference finals also, since that was the same season.
Final voicemail, 833 Lickface.
Hey guys, Gabe from Bryn Mawr again, and I'm pretty confident I solved the CJ kidnapping mystery. Tony T was arrested, but we know how deeply he cares for CJ, and it would take a lot more than a me and Kyrie Ricky Hall of Fame induction to get him involved with a terrorist group like COVEN, which I think has to be the right pronunciation if that's how members are saying it. And it would take more for Tony to hurt CJ, something that would bring him no joy. So who has the resources and motive for such a vicious act? At first I thought maybe so Lucas Capetian, but he was exposed so quickly the first time he got involved with the Sixers that he wouldn't test deranged Ricky listeners again. And plus, he's probably bankrupt from bad metaverse and NFT ventures, so it's got to be someone more successful. So I thought maybe LL, but he didn't sound guilty, more like he doesn't have the stomach for tense hostage situations. And that's when it hit me that we've been talking about the perp all season. Noted basketball terrorist Glenn Rivers, whose 5-year, $40 million contract gives him enough cash to bribe a desperate man puppet just for the chance to weaken some of his biggest critics in Spike and Mike. We have enough evidence, and Daryl needs to launch a covert internal investigation right now. What do you think?
I like kidnapping CJ weakens us.
Yeah, it does.
I'm so weak by CJ's kidnapping. No, I would be upset. No, I'd be upset. But I feel like I wouldn't if we're trying to get sabotaged by Doc Rivers, which I get why he would. I don't know that kidnapping our producer who's on screen for maybe like 1/20th of the podcast is the way I would necessarily go about doing it. But I can see
wherever
CJ
you
right
are,
now. I can see him.
you are.
Oh, I can see him.
Okay, wherever you're getting roasted, I think inadvertently.
No. I'm trying to protect him. It's like when you go like in Die Hard when they kill when I haven't seen it in a couple of years, so I'm gonna blow the name, but was it Carl? I'm forgetting the names. But when he's like, we're not even friends. I don't even like the guy. I just met the guy tonight. Like, I'm trying to save CJ's life. Basically.
Oh yeah. It wouldn't even do anything to us.
Yeah, it wouldn't even matter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We will talk to you Saturday morning, and then for those who are going to the show, we will see you Easter night at Underground Arts.
I have a long story. I was going to tell a long story, but you're sleepy. It's too late for you for me to do that, so I'm going to do that on Saturday. So I'm going to do a long story on Saturday, the day before the season.
I would love to go to bed tonight, but Saturday morning is good. Okay. We will talk to you Saturday morning for Mike's long story. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, Lickface. It is Ellis. Thank you, chat.